Sometimes the best tax planning is no tax planning. Hi, this is financial planner Sean Mullaney. Let's discuss. So it's December and folks are thinking about Roth conversions. And I think Roth conversions can be a very powerful tool for many Americans, particularly many retirees. But there's some folks for whom the Roth conversion, frankly, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I've got one example here. So I've got a married couple. They are both aged 73 in the year 2023. And so they actually have to take RMDs. They've got $400,000 in deferred retirement accounts. So they're doing fine, but they're not hugely affluent or anything like that. They have to take about $15,000 in RMDs based on each being age 73. Okay, fine. They've got a little interest, $2,000, and they have a pension. Say one of them was an educator, so they got $25,000 of pension income, and then they have Social Security income, $45,000 of Social Security income. And one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, well, how much of that Social Security is actually taxed if we do nothing else, right? I'm positing to start, they're not doing any tax planning, right? So if we do nothing else, I'm saying $23,505 is taxable. I have a little spreadsheet here, and I'm going to attach a link to this, to a PDF version of this in the description below so you can sort of see where I'm getting my numbers from. I've computed what I believe is their taxable amount based on IRS publication 915. There's a really good worksheet in there, and I came up with my own quick and dirty version of that as a spreadsheet. It would not work in all circumstances, but I think for this particular couple it works. And I actually feel pretty good about that because I double checked it with something called Covisium. They have a taxable Social Security calculator as well, so you can visit that website. You should always do your own analysis, but between my own analysis and Covisium's calculator coming up with this 23,505 number, I'm feeling pretty good about that. This couple winds up on 87,000 of gross income with an AGI of just 65.6, and their federal taxable income is only $34,900 on gross income of $87,000 from pension, Social Security, interest, and RMDs. That's pretty good. Their federal tax is just, by my estimate is $3,748, and that gets them an effective rate on gross income of 4.3%. All right, so some people out in the audience are going to say, well, wait a minute. They're only paying 4.3%. Isn't this a great opportunity to do Roth conversions? And shouldn't they do Roth conversions for two additional reasons? One is that 12% tax bracket, that's going to go to 15% in the year 2026, right? And what about the so-called widow's tax trap? It's great that they're both alive, but eventually one of them is going to die. And isn't the widow's tax trap going to get them? All right, so let's think about, hey, let's just do a $10,000 Roth conversion. How does that change the game from a tax perspective? And just how much tax do they pay on that Roth conversion? Well, through the magic of the internet, I've got a few little tabs here we can look at. I can add to this my $10,000 Roth conversion. What happens? Well, you'll notice something here. That taxable Social Security amount, that goes to $32,500, and it flows through on my little taxable Social Security spreadsheet here, which I double checked with this Covisium calculator. So what's going on here is this couple who are doing well but are not that affluent, they're in something called the tax torpedo. Right. So yes, they pay the 12%. They're in the 12% bracket. They pay the $1,200 on a $10,000 Roth conversion, but they also tripped increasing the amount of Social Security that's subject to tax. So because of their $10,000 Roth conversion, they increased the amount of Social Security that's subject to tax from $23,500 to $32,000. That's an $8,500 increase. That's the dreaded tax torpedo, which I think gets overplayed, but I think it is relevant for this purpose. Absolutely. So what's going on here is this couple now pays $2,220 more in tax because of a $10,000 Roth conversion, even though they're only in the 12% bracket. And so look at that. Now, their effective rate is still not horrible. It's 6.15%. That's not terrible at all. But notice the tax rate on that Roth conversion. It's 22.2%. And even if it was only the 12%, I would argue this couple should forego the Roth conversion. Here's the thing. This 4.3% effective rate for this particular couple, that's an indicator. Hey, you know what? You've already won the tax game. Stop playing the game, right? Because essentially what this couple ought to be doing is running it back. If we're at 4.3% effective rate this year and we do nothing, well, next year we'll be at like 4.6%. Maybe our RMD will go up a little bit, but the brackets increase as well. So maybe we'll even go down to 4.2%. Who knows? But it'll be 4.2%, 4.7%, 5%, 5.5%. Just running it back is the best thing this couple can do. Now, that's not always true. Maybe if this couple was 56 years old and they're not taking Social Security yet, and they don't have RMDs yet, no, don't just run it back. Do affirmative tax planning. But that couple's also not in the tax torpedo if they're age 56. So it depends on your circumstances, but this is a couple that should be running it back. Keep doing what you're doing, which in this case is nothing, and be happy paying a 4% effective rate, 5% effective rate, 6% effective rate. Why are you paying a 22.2% effective rate on a Roth conversion to slightly lower that RMD when that RMD is part of a tax picture that's effectively taxed at 4 or 5% federally, right? Don't do a 22% Roth conversion. Just run it back next year. Keep this result. But now some people in the audience are going to say, well, yeah, I get this tax torpedo thing, 22.2%. We don't like that. But what about the 15% tax bracket? Isn't that coming back? Well, I already made a video about that. And in that video, I say there's nothing more permanent than a temporary tax cut, right? Folks such as 73-year-old married couples that have $87,000 of gross income have something about them. And it's this: they show up on election day, if not beforehand, right? I am very doubtful that Congress is going to let that 12% bracket become a 15% bracket and increase taxes on a couple like this. A couple like this tends to vote. So I'm not too worried about that 15% bracket thing in the year 2026. I'd also say this couple actually doesn't have that much income in that 12% bracket, so it's not that horrible, even if the 15% tax increase goes through. The second thing I'm going to say about this couple is, well, what about that horrible widow's tax trap? And yes, they will pay more tax if one of them dies, 100%. But I've done a video about that. And yes, it matters, but is it going to double their tax? Let's just say it did. Well, now they're paying an 8.6% effective rate instead of a 4.3% effective rate. They're doing a 22.2% Roth conversion to avoid an 8.6% tax as the widow's tax trap. And by the way, I doubt it would be a doubling of the tax, but just mentally playing it out. So I would say that a couple like this, where we're already taking our RMDs, we're already taking Social Security, and we're only paying 4.3% in effective tax federally, they're done. They've won, right? They should be celebrating and stop the tax planning for this particular profile. Roth conversions and additional tax planning, to my mind, just don't make a lot of sense. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.